Hello, beautiful people. I just wanted to make a quick video to share with you the lessons that I've learned from doing 12 meditation retreats, or 12 sessions as we call it in Zen, in 12 months. I finished that about 2 months ago or so. So I'm at 14th month, so to speak. I just want to share a couple of lessons that I learned, and hopefully those will be beneficial to you on your spiritual journey, in your practice, and otherwise. And always, if you have a question, just shoot me a comment, and I'll be more than happy to give you my 2 cents. Before we start, I just wanted to make sure I clarify something very, very important. You do not have to go on a 7-day meditation retreat. You do not have to. The only reason why I'm doing it because I'm fortunate enough to have the financial means and the time available to do it. And only recently, about 1.5 years ago, I started that. So for the longest time, I was practicing on my own. I wanted to make it very, very clear. Practice is every day. Practice is everything that we do. So if you're a young mother, if you have kids, if you have a job, you do not have to go on meditation retreats. You just don't. So please don't feel bad about it. I actually am reading, I read about this 25-year-old Japanese woman who had tuberculosis. I think it was in the 30s, 1935 or 1937. Beautiful story. It's in the 3 Pillars of Zen by Roshi Kapleau, and you can look it up online as well. And within 5 years, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and she had health issues from childhood time. And this beautiful woman managed to reach enlightenment within 5 years just by practicing on her own, because her health would not allow her to even leave the house, let alone sit in a sesshin. So I wanted to make that point that you do not have to. What is important is to have a good coach, a good teacher, a good teacher really, who will coach you. A legitimate teacher. There are a lot of teachers online, but a legitimate teacher from a legitimate teaching that you're able to partake of, and coaching. So basically coaching is the most important. That young woman received coaching once a month. The teacher would go and visit them because they had a family connection. So please don't feel bad if you're not doing 12 sessions in 12 months. It's just my karma right now. Who knows what will happen next. Having said that, let's jump right in. The first thing that I had to learn, it has to do with resistance. For the longest time, because I was so naive in my practice, whenever resistance would come up, I would not recognize it. So the most important thing that I learned, the most important thing I can share is recognizing, understanding resistance. For many, many years, I would practice, I would go in a deep state, I would deepen my practice, let us say that. And then I would get out of it. I would be forced out of it. And I didn't know why. And the main reason why I actually traveled far to meet my teacher and the teaching and give up my previous teaching and practice is because of this resistance. I didn't know what it was. I would just get out of it. And I felt there was something wrong with me. I blamed myself for not having a strong enough desire. I blamed myself for a number of things. And it was just such a terrible thing. Please don't do that if you experience resistance. So the most important thing is recognize the resistance. And I've done recognizing resistance in practice. I have done a number of videos on that topic. So how to deal with resistance in practice is one of them that I have available. I advise you to look it up if you want more information on that issue. But quite often, when we experience difficulty in our practice, we do not realize this resistance. We have to recognize this. There was a young woman in the last session, just beautiful young woman with amazing energy, just strong, gentle energy. And she told me that she just wanted to run away at some point. And then she had some stomach issues. During the session, I told her about the stomach issues that might be resistance, and that she told me afterwards that she wanted to run away, and I told her that that's classic resistance, and her eyes would get wide, and she was so happy to recognize that. And simply recognizing resistance is what it is. Simply resistance. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong with your practice. This is just a normal turn of events in practice. In any kind of practice, particular meditation and spiritual practice. So I recommend you familiarize yourself, if you haven't already done so, with resistance, what it is, what it looks like. It could be a feeling of heaviness, it could be a feeling of sadness, it could be a heaviness in your stomach, it will be a lack of motivation, even something as flat. I told my teacher, one of the early Sesshins, like, my practice is good, but it feels flat. And she says, that's resistance. So resistance is important. We have to know what it is. Definitely was for me, and how to deal with it. And again, I've done a number of videos on that topic. Was probably the biggest lesson I had to learn, that there was nothing wrong with my practice, that I would give it up. It wasn't anything wrong with me or my practice or what I was doing. It was just resistance. Once I realized it, my practice became 100 times easier and better, because I would actually take it further. So that's number one. Number two, which ties into number one, is resistance is good. Before getting involved with Rinzai Zen and my teaching, I thought that resistance was a terrible thing. And we're going to get to it later in more depth. But basically, resistance is good. What I have learned in 12 Sesshins is that when you go to resistance, it's a reward. You've gone deep enough to face your issues, touch upon your issues, subconscious issues. Every day we go about life, shopping, social media, family, friends, dinner, lunch, breakfast, sugary stuff. In many ways, most of us suppress our feelings, those negative feelings, consciously or subconsciously. That's why we have so many addictions in our society, of various kinds. But once we recognize that this resistance is good in practice, once we go into Sesshin, it's absolute silence in most places. You cannot talk to people. You cannot relieve that tension that we usually have. You cannot shop, obviously. You cannot even leave the premises, and you cannot even do laundry. I have to do my laundry by hand because I have a small backpack. But resistance is good. What I learned in these 12 Sesshins is that resistance is a reward. That means you've been going deeper. That means you've been improving if there is session as improving your practice. You're doing better in meditation. So when you go deeper, these issues come up. Old conditioning from your childhood. I just recognized, 3 weeks ago, this deep negative condition I had when I was 5 or 6, and it affected me all my life. So when we go deeper, we touch upon this negative condition and these hurts, and they come up. And quite often they form a resistance. We don't want to go further. So before I recognized this conditioning, I had this heaviness, and I would eat snacks, even sashimi, that sort of thing. And then once I recognized this resistance, it just dissolved. So resistance is good. Now I welcome resistance. Now when I get up, feel negative, I'm like, that's good. That's food. I always say that's food. Let's see what's beneath it. And it's a normal part of practice. My experience is we go deeper, we hit resistance, we work with it, we go through it, then we go deeper, and then we hit resistance, come up, and then we work with it and go down. So resistance is a good thing. I would welcome it. Now I welcome it. Now when I have resistance, it's beautiful. I see it as an opportunity. As cliche as it sounds, I find it as food. The saying goes, turning shit into sugar, meaning turning manure into sugar canes, growing sugar canes with manure, so to speak. So resistance is good, and it's a normal part of meditation practice, of any kind of spiritual practice. Welcome it, embrace it, love it, and once you change your mindset, your practice will just improve so much more. The third thing, and this is the most important thing that I've learned in this 12 sessions, 12 months, which is year and something, has been probably the most significant time in my spiritual journey, in my spiritual practice the last 25 years. Coaching is the most important thing for me. So coaching has been the single most significant thing in my practice. I cannot tell you how fortunate I am to find a teacher that is right for me, that has experienced trauma in her childhood, that had to deal with it, that has over 50 years of practice. Gosh, that's it. that's so significant. It has been so helpful in my practice. It's just amazing. And she has a way of seeing before I even fall in the trap. Like I told her I was reading this book, and she says, "Oh, this is a good book, but be careful. That blood and thunder way of doing Zen doesn't always work." And sure enough, I had an issue with my practice halfway through the session. I remembered what she said. So coaching is the most significant thing, and really the basic thing that I want to share with you this video is you can get coaching anywhere you are. Thankfully, we live in a time where there's Zoom in your time zone all over the world. No matter where you are, you can, if you have access to a cell phone, really, you can do, you can email a teacher. They're very generous. A true teacher is very generous. Freely, you can ask them questions about your practice if you're stuck. You can send an email. You can do Zoom sitting, which is very powerful as well, because you get the energy of the group, and you can ask questions sometimes afterwards. They can see your posture. Coaching is so important. Please, if you practicing it, it's so easy to fall in the trap of thinking we're improving, and in a way it's our ego protecting us. I remember when I started working with my teacher and I had like a couple of sessions early on, I talked to a Sangha sister from a previous teaching, and I told her, she's older and wiser than me, and I told her somewhat sheepishly, like, yeah, I found a new teacher, she's amazing, blah blah, and I wasn't sure how she would react. She was very happy, and she told me something I'll never forget. She told me, she said, "Wonderful, that's very good." She told me, "He who practices by himself has the devil as his guide," or "She who practices by herself has the devil as her guide." And it was quite shocking what that phrase means. And I thought it was a bit over extreme, and it was sort of fire and fire, sort of hellish fire, sort of biblical tone to it. But it's nevertheless true, because when we practice on ourselves, what I did, we have our egos at our guide. We think we're improving, we think we're getting better, and very often it's not. It's not. And I would recommend anybody who's engaged in any spiritual practice to find a good teacher. And the way you find a good teacher is just, I think, beyond the scope of this particular video. I should probably do another video on that topic. But you let out your intention. You basically look at your needs, what you're looking for, and let out your intention. You will find somebody. There's no doubt in my mind. It's just, everybody knows. If you really focus on it, it might take a couple of weeks, a couple of days, a couple of minutes, and you will find somebody who's good for you. So coaching is absolutely essential. And this is the most important thing that has helped me in the last year and something, during the last 12 sessions. Without this coaching, I don't know where I would be. I remember many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, so I went to this Vipassana retreat in British Columbia, and I understand there are different kinds of Vipassana, so they're not the same. But the one that I went to, I thought it was terrible. There was no coaching till I think it was the third night. And even then, it was like 3 people would sit with this lady, and she would just ask them questions. There was no guidance, anything. And I left. I think I left after second full day or third full day. And that was probably one of the biggest regrets, that I couldn't have the coaching right there and then, because that would have changed my life forever probably, which is fine. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have coaching, it's very easy to just run out and just give up the practice. Coaching is essential. Number 4, something that seems to be my vice, and my teacher always sort of tells me to watch out for it, and a trap that I usually fall into is mind states. When I started my Zen practice, I find out later on that I was addicted to mind states in practice. I had so much trauma that I would go deep into my practice after days, weeks, months, usually around 6 or 7 months. Point, so to speak. I would go deeper, and I was addicted to this serenity and tranquility of practice. And I would think that I need to be in the right state of mind to enter into practice, which is not true. Even last Seshin, about a week ago, I was with my teacher, and there was a daily interview. You have a daily interview every evening, sometimes twice a day, um, and the teacher says, "Do you have any questions, any comments about your practice?" And I said that I did yaza, which is night sitting, extra sitting at nighttime, and I did it, but I stopped because I didn't want to continue. Because I had still had a lot of energy, but I stopped. I went to bed instead because my focus was waning. And she told me, look, don't look for mind states. Go into the practice, go into meditation, whatever your mind state is. She told me that concentration would come back. And why would you chase the concentration? Just do it wherever you are, however you are. So that's a very important thing that I had to learn. I had to recondition myself is don't chase mind states. I used to wait sometimes days until I was like focused and ready to partake in my meditation again. But that's not the right way. The right way is the right way is not to chase mind states, not try to feel a certain way in your practice. And in addition, just get into practice no matter what your mind state is. You're pissed at the world, you're angry at the world, that's a perfect time to sit and meditate. Granted, you might have to do the felt sense, but just sit down and explore that anger. Well, just explore that anger at the world if you're feeling that way. Why is it? What does it look like? What is its shape? What does it smell like? Where did it come from? You don't do it with your words of thinking, but you just sit with it. You basically, as my teacher says, stay present with it. And that's the best thing you can do if you're angry, if you're upset, whatever. If you're tired, do tired zazen, as my teacher always says. If you're tired, just do tired zazen. If you're angry, do angry zazen, angry meditation. If you're unhappy, that's the best time to do meditation. Meditate and become aware of whatever feelings arise. So mind states, do not chase them in your practice, and do not wait for the right mind state to get into it. It's very, very important to do that. Which brings me to number 5. Here we go. Number 5, true meditation. When I started my Zen practice, I realized that what I thought was meditation was not meditation, really. It kind of was, but it wasn't, because I knew the basics. But I thought meditation was, I would reach into a state of mind and I would walk around with this halo over my head and I would just feel bliss, which I did sometimes ironically, but that's not really meditation. It's, as Hakuin calls it, the cave of dead sitting, which is a topic unto itself. It's a very important point. Basically, many of us, and I did, get into meditation thinking that feeling good is meditation. Feeling blissful is meditation. If you do it for a certain time, you're going to be blissful, you're going to be happy, your suffering will end. It's not true. I did feel amazing. I did feel ecstatic when I was practicing by myself, even when I started practicing with a teacher. But one time I came back and I was supposed to go on a 2-hour hike. It was like 8 hours driving around the hike, and I was very upset. I said, well, it was good, but I went with this person for a hike and it took like 8 hours. And she told me, so? I said, well, I missed my meditation. She says, everything is meditation. She says, I think you're addicted to your meditation. You should really look into it. And she told me about the cave of dead sitting, which Hakuin called. Cave of dead sitting is getting into meditation, finding the sweet spot and sort of sticking with it. And yeah, you feel good, but you never progress. It's like the lame version that I can think of is like you get a job and you make a little bit of money and then you have this superficial life. Not that making money is superficial, but we get into a comfort zone and life passes us by because we don't want to explore the more challenging, difficult facts of life. I don't know if that's an accurate example or not, but that's what comes to my mind. So true meditation is just seeing things as they are, getting into it, whatever state you are in, and exploring whatever comes up. If you feel like you're walking through hell, which You will. Everybody does. That's perfectly fine. That's meditation. If you're feeling ecstasy and joy and love for the world, that's perfectly fine. That's true meditation. If you feel terrible, that's meditation. Meditation is just being seeing things as they are in a way. I don't know if there's a better term or not, but just seeing things as they are and discovering our true nature. So don't chase mind states, don't chase happiness, don't chase bliss in your practice. Meditation is meditation is meditation, just being present with the moment. That's probably one of the most important things I had to learn among things that I already mentioned. Even this last week, about a week ago, 10 days ago, I was struggling my session number 15, and I had to learn finally that what that struggle taught me is that true meditation, just being aware of breath in, breath out, your moment arising and being present with the moment and the breath rising and falling, or hara rising and falling, just being aware and being present, being one with the present moment, every breath. And something that came to my mind was every breath is beautiful while I was doing a walking meditation. So that's what true meditation is, just being present with every moment and discovering, as my teacher says, focus on that curiosity. What's there? What's there? What's underneath it? What is it that is pushing me forward? What is it that I'm yearning for? That sense of curiosity and just sitting with it and practicing it. That's true meditation. True meditation is not about feeling good. True meditation is not about forgetting the past or looking for quote unquote enlightenment, which is a big trap in itself. There is a good book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism by Chogyam Trungpa. I would read that if you have any questions about that. But essentially, true meditation is just being present every moment with whatever is unfolding, good or bad, happy or sad, tired or well rested, it doesn't matter. And that has been a life changing process for me. So here you have it. These are 5 things that I had to learn. 5 lessons that I learned through these 12 sessions in 12 months. Each one of them actually deserve to be a full video. If you're interested in any of those, would like me to explore them more, please let me know. But to recap, you don't have to go on Sesshins. You can find enlightenment wherever you are, as long as you get the proper coaching once a month. That's perfect. There are many examples of that. Resistance, recognizing and understanding resistance. Resistance is good. Coaching is important. Mind states, not to chase them, not to fall for them, and true meditation. There's a lot more, but let us leave it at that today. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it will benefit and guide you in even the smallest way in your spiritual journey and practice. I hope you realize you're perfect the way you are, the way we all are. And I hope you have an absolutely amazing, fulfilling day filled with wonder and magic. All right, talk to you next time. Bye.